Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Cleveland! How we doing?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Welcome to today's edition of the Block the Shot to Stop our ugly Christmas sweater episode. As you see, Kevin is much more better at this than I am, but that's okay. I'm Tim Daniel. He's Kevin Lynch. And thank you for hanging out with us tonight as we talk about yet another, the 25th Cleveland Cavaliers victory of this season. And Kevin, they've only played 29 games. So
that's a pretty good winning percentage.
Yeah, I would say that's that feels pretty good. So welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us as always. I am back in the hosting chair tonight. It's been a little bit, so I'm just kind of getting the feel for it again. Kevin's been doing such a great job as I've been working other shows, and Kevin and Skylar have been great, and I really appreciate them for sure. So Skylar has the night off tonight. Kevin and I got this one. I wish he was here for the ugly Christmas sweater. I'm sure he would have something. I'm sure he has something in the closet.
He's got something, though it could be in a box right now.
That's true.
48 hours ago. That's
true. So we're going to go ahead and get into tonight's game against the Philadelphia 76ers at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. The Cavaliers are victorious 126-99. You hit the nail on the head on yesterday's episode when you told Skylar there's no way that Joel Embiid is going to play. That obviously did not happen. But Paul George did play, and Tyrese Maxey played, obviously. And Kev, I'll tell you what, it's like another one. It's just like the Brooklyn game the other night where Brooklyn gets off to this really hot start. Cleveland's got to take an early timeout, and you're thinking, okay, you're still confident they're going to win, but you're like, when do they kick into gear?
Yeah. So to start the season, if you remember when they were on that they jumped on people right away, almost every night it seemed like they had an out of this world point differential for the first quarter. Like I want to say they were averaging being up by 11 points in the end of the first quarter, which was like double anybody else in the league.
Yeah.
Now it seems like they're taking a few minutes to get going, and it's that time right around the middle of the first quarter.
I'm sorry. Every time you move,
I know. I'm gonna try and I'm gonna try
it's
and
hilarious.
Yes. But now instead of right away, it's somewhere mid first quarter, beginning of second quarter is when they just turn it on and just go on these runs. I think they did another 25-4 run tonight, and they did a similar one last night. It seems like every game they're putting one of those together. So just another just incredible performance all the way around. And much like last night, incredibly balanced contributions up and down the score sheet. And yeah, I mean, I don't know where you want to start. There's a couple of guys we could start with, but I'll send it to you. And I'll let you pick. I joked last night that Mitchell started making his case for the All-Star game, as well as he played last night, and voting opened yesterday. Now I think Darius, Garland, Evan Mobley took their turn tonight, is trying to advertise themselves or market themselves for the All-Star game. Out of those two, who do you want to start with, Evan or Darius?
Well, I first want to make mention, as you saw in the text I sent just about an hour ago, I did vote all 4 Cavs in my ballot. I went in all Northeast Ohio just about because I had our 4 guys, and then I had LeBron and Curry in the West. So I just grouped it all together. But I do want to start with Darius Garland because he was tremendous tonight, and he for sure had the toughest matchup with Tyrese Maxey guarding him. And I thought he was yet again tremendous. 26, 5 and 4, 6 of 7 from 3. Only played 25 minutes tonight and was just dominant, man. Skylar said it last night. Darius Garland has the best floater in the league. And there were multiple times tonight where he was hitting shots, where he was running at the rim and having that floater. And it's over Andre Drummond's hand, which is above the rim, and it's bouncing in the perfect corner. I wouldn't say, I've said this in the past, I'm not going to say he's a finisher the way Kyrie is under them, because Kyrie is the best finisher in the room of all time. But he's making a case to be in the conversation of like the best to never do it.
I'm going to give him a little bit more time before I have that conversation. If you want to talk in the game today, I'll listen to that argument. Like Darius being, Kyrie is still around and still spectacular. Right. But if you want to make a case for Garland being one of the best or possibly even the best at that penetration floater in the league, I'll listen to that argument. But there's been so many guys that are good, that point guards that just are a thing of beauty doing that shot. All the way back, Isaiah Thomas was incredible at it, as well as Allen Iverson was incredible at it, and Kyrie more.
Who did that guy ever beat?
Yeah. And more recently Kyrie and a whole bunch of others I'm not mentioning, but that's to take nothing away from Darius Garland. He's phenomenal. He has the whole package to. Because to have that floater be effective, not only do you have to have the touch for the shot, but you have to be a good enough 3-point shooter that people respect that, and so that will open up driving lanes. And you have to have the ball handling and quickness to get by people to get into that right around 10 foot from the rim range. That's kind of the sweet spot for that floater, and he has the whole package this season.
Yeah, he really has. It's just been remarkable, and the things he's been able to do. And we talked a lot, you and I specifically, about Mitchell's defensive effort and how it's really, really stepped up a lot this year. And I think you can make the case Garland has as well. And we obviously had talked a lot about when they beat Boston, and he was kind of then they were hunting him with Jason Tatum, and he did not back down at all. And I think tonight was another one of those nights where, like I said, he's guarding Tyrese Maxey, who is for sure Philly's best offensive player right now. Mm-hmm. Paul George had some moments tonight, but I wouldn't say that this was one of these Paul George games we'll talk about forever by any means. I am all over the place tonight, fired up. I've missed you guys way too much. But I mean, for the Garland Maxey matchup was the matchup of the night, and I thought he delivered on both sides of the floor.
Yeah. And I love Tyrese Maxey, and he came out super aggressive and was really, really good in the first half. And kind of to help Philly get that lead right at the beginning, as you were talking about, and kind of keep them in striking distance in the first half. I want to say it was after that crazy three, it was like 12 at halftime, the Cavs lead. But I was thinking about, like, kind of as Tyrese, I don't know exactly how many points he had, but he really big first quarter. I was like, man, this is the night they miss Isaac Okoro, because that would be the match. Yeah. That'd be the guy on him, right? But sure enough, they figured out how to slow Tyrese down, and the Cavs offense just turned back into the machine it's been most of this year. I don't think we've thrown out the stats yet, but another night, over 53% shooting as a whole, over 51% from the 3-point line on 43 attempts. Just incredible. And the Cavs get so many open shots, and it's not because other teams aren't trying to play defense. It's because their offense is so efficient. They run fantastic, like, flare actions, where flare is when a big guy comes and sets it picking for like a shooter, and then they, like, instead of coming to the ball, they go away from the ball, right? And then off of penetration, that it's kind of like a misdirection thing. So they do stuff like that, and the penetration ability of especially Mitchell and Garland, but even LeVert, TJ Maxx, all these guys, they're shooting so well, not only because they're a good shooting team, but they are just, for the majority of the season, getting high quality shots.
Are you pro or anti screen assist being counted as a stat? I think I'm pro.
I'm not as into the screen assist as I wish they tracked, like, the hockey assists.
Yeah.
Because so many times the guy who made the play offensively doesn't end up with a stat for it. He has great penetration, dishes off to a guy, and then that guy, kicks it out to a wide open shooter, or dumps it off to somebody for a dunk. I kind of, my hill, I guess I can't have all the hills, but I would love the hockey assist in basketball to be tracked as, like, an additional column in the stat sheet.
I think Steph Curry would probably end up being the all-time leader in that for the 3 years he had Durant, because playing Durant probably.
I think Donovan has so many of those.
He does.
I think he would be at the top of the league leaderboard if that stat was tracked. And honestly, with all this
second spectrum
and everything, somebody might that I'm not aware of. But yeah, I think Donovan is incredible at that, at kind of creating chaos for the defense. And then there may be an extra pass after his to where he doesn't end up for a stat for the play, but he was the one who really kind of created the opportunity on offense.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah, I know this is more about Garland and Mobley, but I just want to make sure to make mention that he was really good again tonight. 7 of 16, 4 of 10 from 3, 19 points. These two guards, I mean, their dynamics are so impressive, and Mitchell's ability to just kind of wreck a game, like you talked about, and just kind of cause fits for defenses is so fun to watch.
Yes.
And it's just been a joy. But when we talk about Evan Mobley, Kev, unbelievable stat line tonight, 22, 13, and 7. And we'll get to that. But 2 insane dunks tonight. One particularly over Andre Drummond and Kenyon Martin Jr. on the same dunk, which was insanity. But something I've noticed of late with number 4, Evan Mobley, and I'm curious your genuine thoughts about this as well. By the way, Wembanyama has 10 blocks tonight, and they're in the fourth quarter. It's another game. Have you noticed of late, and I think I noticed this probably during the Nets game, he's been a lot more getting calls for oops. They've been throwing in saying they've been using him as like Rob Gronkowski in the red zone. Throw it up there and go get it. I mean, he's been.
Yeah,
I kind of said that he's reminding me, if I had to do a real football comparison, I was talking about this with someone at the barbershop today, funny enough, and I said, Evan Mobley is like the NBA version of Devontae Smith of the Philadelphia Eagles. Just tall, lanky, doesn't look like they're as fast as they are, but they are, and just super great hands, and just can make everyone look stupid.
Great hands, great feet, because I not only do they have those highlight reel dunks like off of alley-oops, but how many times do they throw him an alley-oop and he like makes the correct decision to, instead of trying to go up to grab it, use a pivot foot and then get a dunk, you know? I feel like that happens so often. Like he's just, his whole game is evolving, but he is so incredible around the basket between his length, athleticism, and skill. It's getting to the point where it's inarguable that he should be an all-star to me. I think I was looking at some of the voting today. There's 3 or 4 guys in the East you could make an argument to put in before Evan Mobley, and not even saying they should be put in, but you could make an argument. Like
they're all superstars too.
Yeah. Giannis, Kat has had an incredible season. Jason Tatum, and then if you're counting Jaylen Brown as a front court guy. Other than that, between injuries and kind of, underperformance this year or something, I don't think there's anyone else in the league you could put in over Evan Mobley besides those 4.
Same.
And they're definitely, they're going to take 7, 8 front court players. So to me, that math checks out, that like it's inarguable that he is an all-star at this point. And it's just how, at this point, it's how much can he ascend? Can he get up to, second or third best big man in the league? I think he has a real chance to be the second best behind Giannis in the Eastern Conference. And possibly even this season. So I don't know. Evan again was great tonight. He's very good every game, but his stat line hasn't popped out as much the last few games. Tonight, it definitely did. Like you said, 22 points on incredibly efficient shooting, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, which is phenomenal.
He's so underrated as a passer.
Yeah. And he, I thought he was just incredible tonight. Obviously no Embiid on the other side, but they still have, Andre Drummond and Paul George and some guys, but like none of them could match up with Mobley tonight.
No, I mean, just his athleticism, like you said, just his feet work, his ability to kind of stretch the floor, his passing ability. I was talking about this, another conversation I had today at the shop when I was getting my haircut.
How long was this haircut?
It's Christmas time, Kevin. So I was in the lobby for a while.
Okay.
And also I get my beard done because when I do my beard, I'm not very good at it. So I have my barber do it.
Fair enough.
It makes it look good.
Okay.
But the 2021 NBA draft came up, and I was like, I think if you could redo it, I think I might take Mobley number 1. And Cade's had a great year.
Yeah.
Cade's been tremendous. But realistically, and I thought he was the best player in the draft already.
Mm-hmm.
I was very happy he dropped the 3. But I think I really would. Like, Jalen Green's very good, but Jalen Green has so many inconsistent games. Scotty Barnes has had a couple injuries the last couple of years where you don't really know much about like how often you have him anymore. Cade's great. I love Cade.
Yeah.
I also think Cade should be an all-star this year.
I think he's the only one you could make an argument for.
Yeah,
Mobley.
Şengün probably in the top 3, but not above Mobley. Like,
no. I mean, Cade from a skill set, I think you can make the arguments, but once you get into maybe durability and how high their ceiling is, in addition to how good they've been so far, I think you're taking Evan Mobley all day in a redraft.
That should be a weekly. We should do that for an NBA weekly. A redraft.
we could do it. We could do that. I'll write that down.
That'd be fun. But yeah, just another spectacular Evan Mobley evening. Really kind of becoming my favorite player in the league to watch. I've always been a big fan. I loved him in high school. Like I talked about that. I went and watched him play in the EYBL, and I was blown away by him. And really, like probably just his dynamic. It's not to the level, obviously, of like where I love watching like LeBron or Curry, but getting to watch him on a nightly basis is a joy. Yeah,
it is. And now, not only has he gotten better, but I just think whether it's a credit to everyone. It's a credit to Kenny Atkinson, all the other players, but I just think he's so much more gelled with his teammates, and he is playing off of, Garland, Mitchell, everybody so much better. They're playing off of him at times. Him and Allen works way better than it used to, or anyone ever
really should work as well.
Yeah. And so I think it's one of those credit all the way around. But I mean, the most in first credit should go to Evan for his developments, but they've just learned a way for him to fit in perfectly with this team and be able to contribute at an all-star level.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. He's just been a joy. And we could do that. We could do a full Evan Mobley appreciation episode. Trust me. I have no issues with that. Let's get to the bench for a minute. So George, another nice 13-5, shot the ball really well tonight. Ty Jerome, 11-4-4. Didn't have his best shooting night, but still found a way to kind of really affect the game. Shout out TJ Maxx. Karras, another nice night. Jalen Tyson, I know didn't play big minutes, but I think that's a promising stat line for when he did play, and also had a pretty filthy dunk in the fourth quarter. So that was fun to see.
Definitely improvement from last day when he turned the ball over 3 possessions.
Yeah,
right when he came in the game. I thought they might actually take him out, but Kenny kind of let him work through it last night. And like better tonight. I think he's incredibly talented. Seeing him, I think he's still too raw to expect a real contribution this year. I think it's more a developmental year. Play some with the G League, play some with the team. Be a 10th, 11th guy like he was tonight. And I think he has great potential for the future. I just don't think he's going to be developed enough this season to be a big contributor.
You know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely okay. I mean, not everyone has to come in right away. And in fact, Reed Shepherd was a top 6 pick, and he doesn't play anywhere near as much for the Rockets as I thought he would.
Yeah.
I don't think the Rockets realized they were going to be as good as they were, but they probably thought they could play him a little more than they were going to be able to.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's another conversation. But yeah, I thought Tyson and his minutes last night and his glimpse played really well. We got more Tristan Thompson minutes tonight. You always know that's a good thing. Hopefully.
The human victory cigar.
Yeah. And I think he's just accepted it at this point. I think he knows where he's at in his career. He's kind of the Cleveland Cavaliers Udonis Haslem.
Yeah, he really is. I don't know if this stat's right, but shout out Skylar for saying this. It says Karis LeVert was plus minus was 36 tonight. Is that that's an outstanding and far
That's
and
what
away the best
CBS
on the team.
that's what CBS Sports has.
Yeah, I'm on NBA.com. It says that. That's an insane plus minus. But in his absence, I don't really talk about plus minus that much. But I'll throw it out there for Skylar. But
Yeah.
I know I said Jalen Tyson being a guy that might not contribute this year. I did want to talk a guy you briefly mentioned that is contributing, Georges Niang. We've been bringing up, I think, a little bit more on the podcast because his play has deserved it. And so I put out a tweet tonight saying like, it seems like he never misses a three, right? Like it's incredible. And so at halftime, I started going into a deep dive of his numbers, and I narrowed it into December, the 9 games in December, including tonight. These are George's numbers for December: 11 points a game, just over 5 rebounds a game, on 61% shooting, 52% shooting from 3.
Wow.
Like that's, maybe a little low in the points, but that's like, all bench NBA level production
For
and
sure.
efficiency, and he's doing it all in just over 20 minutes a night. And he's doing it while he looks like, a YMCA all-star. And
Hashtag dad bod.
Yeah. And I mean, this thing, it was almost like, you didn't really, I didn't really believe it at first, like some of the contributions he was making this season. But man, at this point, they're almost 30 games in and he's getting better and better. And maybe I still think the Cavs could use, another big wing guy who could slide into a big man spot as well. But at this point, I don't think I want it at the expense of Georges Niang's minutes, because he is contributing at such a high level right now.
I completely agree. And it's also, once again, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but he's still yet to miss a game since he became a Cavalier.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impressive, especially in this day and age of the NBA where we're talking about load management all the time.
Yeah.
This guy has played every single game since he's been in that uniform.
He's got the Jokic thing, because he doesn't have any body, any muscle mass or something. He can't hurt himself.
Yeah.
It's like trying to break Jello or something, I mean, that's why they joke around that Jokic never gets hurt. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe that's a new scouting cheat sheet, is look for guys who don't look athletic and don't get as high off the ground so that they can, play 82 games a year.
Yeah, it's like Donovan's like, George, you want to go to the gym? He's like, no.
no, I'm going to Chick-fil-A.
I'm kidding. But yeah, just such a clean shot too. It's like such a quick motion, a nice release, and towards the end of November, early December, towards the end of November, I should say, he really struggled there for a bit, to where we were kind of wondering, what's going on with them. And he's gotten right back in the gear. He's been awesome. Like you said, you broke down the stats there. I did not realize how good the stats were until you did that, but I knew he was playing really well. He's been so fun, and he's obviously a huge asset to this team. So it's been really, really cool to see. Ty Jerome. So like I said, good stat line, not a great shooting night, but I think that's just the Tony Bennett Virginia player in him. It's just like, okay, the shot's not falling. How can I help my team win still? And being a point guard, getting 4 rebounds, especially when you play with the 2 bigs that you play with, it's pretty nice. But obviously his passing ability, and he still hit, he didn't hit a lot of shots, but the shots he hit definitely mattered as they were trying to run away at the lead tonight. And I thought it's another fun night for him. Really funny about Ty Jerome. I know you aren't a big NBA 2K guy, but they came out today with this end of the year thing where they do because they always upgrade the attributes of the season. He's one of the 10 guys they improved the most in the video game for their attributes this year.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool thing. Ty was great tonight. And the other thing I wanted to mention, even though since you weren't on the pod last night, Max Strus didn't play tonight, but he did make a season debut. You'd assume tonight was just kind of more not one to play on back to back when he's just debuted in the season, and they're just going to kind of keep his minutes down and maybe have him sit out a game or two just until they feel like he's fully assimilated back into the team. What did you think of Max's debut last night, and where do you think he works in this team? Because he's a great player and he's somebody that could really contribute for this Cavs team, but it's also one of those, like, do you try and fix something that's not broke when the bench has been such a strong asset for most of the year? Like, changing rotation minutes and stuff. So I just want to get your thoughts on Max's debut and how you think they're going to kind of bring him into the fold.
Well, like you mentioned last night, I definitely was doing the 2 TV thing. So it was a little bit of kind of one eye here, one eye there. So, but I will say that I thought in the third quarter, you could tell he really got comfortable with the pace of the game.
Yeah.
And obviously that's when he had all his points, but I'm not necessarily worried. And I think he also is a professional enough and a good enough player to understand that it's probably going to take him a little while to ramp up because he is debuting so late in the season. So if it is a situation like where you play one night, you're off the next, we put you in for 18, 19 minutes to just kind of get your feet underneath you, I think that's going to be fine for him. And I think it's going to be fine with him as well, because I think the whole team knows come February, come March, if he's still healthy, I mean, if he gets back to it, he's going to be right back to the Max Strus they had last year.
Yep.
And so I'm completely okay with the way they're their game plan with him. I'm sure he wants to play, but I'm sure he also understands why things are the way they are. But I realistically feel like it's going to be, I mean, especially I think Dean's played pretty well the last couple of nights. I know he hasn't scored a ton of points, but
he was really good again. Like, it was, yes, he had a great shooting line and points and everything last night, but it's activity with him. It's hitting open shots, but it's also, there's times this year where he felt like, he was almost like iced out of the offense. Like he like couldn't hit a shot. And I think it was just more maybe a confidence thing, or I know you speculated he could potentially, be having some injury concerns.
I look really wrong on that take already.
Yeah. but tonight, I mean, he was super active again. We didn't talk about him much, but he had 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 of 3 shooting, and just was an integral part of the offense, getting the ball to throw. I think he had a couple of those hockey assists that we talked about earlier. Like, I was super happy, even though his stats weren't as inflated as they were last night. Like, I was super happy with this Dean Wade game. And I think, this is another like positive check mark in the kind of like bringing Dean Wade back to the Dean Wade he can be. Yeah.
So I think Dean and Max, it's just going to take a little bit, but I understand a lot of people may want them to ramp up much faster with Isaac Okoro out for a couple of weeks at minimum. You and I both know it's not just going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm happy, man. I'm happy with where things are. They look just like the team that started out really dominant on both sides of the ball. It looks like they found their defense again. It feels like since the Hawks games, they've really I know they lost that Heat game, but they've been great. They're over 29 games into this. They've won 25 of them. So things are great, man. I will say real quick before we move on and talk about Utah, and I don't know if tonight was necessarily a game that would contribute to my argument here that I'm about to make. I'm not saying he should be the favorite, but it's laughable to me that when people are doing this like MVP stuff, that Donovan Mitchell is not mentioned. It's literally, he's the best player on the best team. They have been, I know he's had some bad games, but realistically, he's been extremely consistent through the year. No, I'm not saying he should be in there over Jokic or Giannis. I don't even know if I'm saying he should be in the top 3, but not even talking about him in this conversation. And I understand that Jokic and Giannis are carrying their teams, so I'm not arguing against that. But he's been really freaking good, and he needs to get more attention for how good he's been.
He has, and I think that attention will come when it comes to like the all NBA teams voting. Like, the MVP is tough because, yes, while he's on the best team, it is a team that's getting such high level contributions from up and down the roster. Looks like they're going to probably have at least 2 other guys that are going to be all-stars as well. And it's just like, it's nothing Donovan's doing wrong. It's just, and like, it's almost like circumstance. Like, yes, he's on the best team, but he doesn't have to carry this team, and he has accepted that. And so I think, more so than MVP, I would argue like he should be in serious consideration for like first team NBA, if not second team NBA, in one of those guard slots. Like, that's where I guess I would kind of focus, because MVP, is traditionally going to go to guys with the super, biggest numbers that are, have really high offensive usage, and which he doesn't. Guys who have high clutch numbers, which Donovan Mitchell doesn't have because he just doesn't have the data because the Cavs are winning by double digits every fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I think it's nothing he did wrong. I think it's more circumstance, but I do think he should be recognized maybe in the all NBA teams voting, where he should be on one of the top 2 teams. If they were doing it now, he should be on one of the top 2 teams, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, he probably would have made it last year if he didn't get hurt. So, yeah, but I just want to make sure he gets his flowers. Obviously, he gets it from us every night, but we just make sure he knows how appreciated he is. And that takes us, Kev, to Monday night when the old Utah Jazz come to town. Who,
couple of friends
are 7-20.
How did they win 7? How did they win 7?
I don't know, man, but I believe if I saw this correctly, they're on what they've won 2 in a row going into Cleveland. I believe that is called a win streak.
Yeah. And which tells me, and they don't want win streaks. They're going to do everything.
Yeah, they played the Pistons in the net, so I'll make sure I mention that. But
yeah. This is a game the Cavs, I would love to see, much like they did the last couple of nights, take control of the game in the first half, lengthen out the lead. That's the other thing they've been doing is they've been taking control of games, having double-digit leads at halftime, but they're keeping their foot on the pedal, on the gas, and they're extending those leads to where, it's been at least the two or three games in a row and several other games lately that they at some point in the game have had a 30-point lead. You don't see that many 30-point leads in the NBA.
Let alone they held a team to under 100 tonight.
Yeah. And so I'd love to see another performance like that, because we talked about, you and I earlier this week, Skylar and I talked about it, like schedule gets much tougher after Monday nights. And when you and I did the NBA Weekly episode this week, I said, like, I would love to see the Cavs go 3-0 in these 3 games. We got 2 check marks and hopefully, take care of business against Utah. And then, you can afford to, if you do lose a game or 2 on this West Coast swing, when you're playing really good teams, you're playing a lot of games, a lot of travel. It's understandable, but like, that's the thing about this Cavs team is they just take care of their business, man. They take care of their business. They've lost 4 games. It wasn't because of lack of focus or anything. You could say a couple of them were bad matchups. A couple of them were, potential schedule losses. And there's the perfect combination of professional and fun for a professional sports team. And they're just a joy to follow.
Yeah, they really are. It's been awesome. I mean, what a year for us to start the show, for sure.
Yeah.
On the Utah side of things, let me ask you this, because I think you and I are probably the best 2 people who can have this conversation, in the sense that I grew up a Bulls fan, as in I've never shied away from it. I've been honest. You lived in Chicago for a very long time. You're back in Chicago.
Yep.
But Lauri Markkanen, I mean, are you I know it's just the Bulls' inability to develop players is why he didn't reach his potential in Chicago. I can speak for that very, very well. But are you kind of surprised he's as good as he is? Because the year he played with Cleveland, he was pretty decent. And I understand Utah's a really bad team and they need someone that can get points, but he scores efficiently. He's not necessarily, I wouldn't say he's like all NBA good. But I am kind of taken aback that he is conversation consistently for all-star good.
Yeah, and I watched Lauri in Chicago and in Cleveland and with Utah now, and I think he is probably maybe a step down from where he's been playing in Utah. I think his performance and maybe like stature in the league has been elevated a bit from playing on a really bad team. They have bad team, good stats kind of guys. I'm not saying he's totally that. I think his true value in the NBA would be like a third banana on a really good playoff team. I don't think he is or will become like the premier guy or anything like that. But I think if you put him on, trying to think, you put him on like the Milwaukee Bucks where he can play off of a couple superstars, get enough shots to average, close to 20 points a game, do it at a high efficiency. I think that's like the perfect role for him. And where, Utah is probably going to eventually trade him even after they extended him. Hopefully that's kind of the opportunity he gets, because I think that's where he'd be best suited.
Yeah, I know, like, LeBron's been pretty open. He's a big Lauri Markkanen fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know what the money situation would be. I don't think they could do it with the new apron rules, but he'd be awesome there with AD. Him and LeBron and AD would be awesome.
He can't be traded this year anyway because
right.
signed the extension, so it's a moot point until the summer.
Yeah, I agree for sure. So that's just was generally just kind of curious your thoughts there. But yeah, I like him a lot. I feel like Chicago just had no idea what to do with him. I mean, they didn't even scout him when they got him in the draft. Pretty well known. So that was kind of what gets out there. But a couple more things on Utah before we get out of here. Colin Sexton, obviously old friend, still so dynamic defensively as a perimeter defender. So tonight, again, I understand he's playing the Nets. 4 steals, become a really good playmaker, a really good passer. One of those kids who's just incredibly fun to watch play. It's probably not ever going to be someone you're talking about as like a multi-time all-star, but just a joy to watch play basketball because you can tell how much he loves it. And that game in college he had with Alabama when they were, it was 5-on-3 and he almost
legendary.
won.
Yeah, legendary.
Yeah, just a great game. And I'll always like Colin Sexton. I think he's a really fun player to watch. I like his time in Cleveland a lot, but always cool to see these guys come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think I think the Jazz, like a lot of of the, I don't want to say bad teams, I don't want to be negative, but like teams with the worst records in the NBA, the team might not be great. They have a lot of individuals that are really good players and could be, important contributors on really good teams. They just happen to find themselves in that team. I know we talked about the Nets as like an example of that. Mm-hmm. I think Utah's the same way. I think they have a handful of guys that could be really solid contributors, Markkanen being the one who'd probably a little more than solid on really good teams. They just kind of find themselves on a team that, doesn't quite have the talent or fit together at the moments. And so yeah, I know. I think, those guys are talented. All that said, Cash should take care of business Monday night.
Yeah, I look forward to him doing it because, again, I don't love that those guys aren't Cavs anymore, but they got Donovan Mitchell, and I will do that trade every day of the week. So, well, hey man, before we get out of here, I think I would be regress and you and I, again, kids of the 80s and 90s who absolutely grew up loving sports. We can't talk about sports without talking about the great Ricky Henderson. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Ricky passed, I believe, overnight or this morning, one of the two. A couple days before his birthday, he was a Christmas baby, which also sucks. But very hard, especially in baseball, to find an athlete more fun than Ricky Henderson. And obviously, we're Reds fans, so we have the 1990 World Series against Ricky Henderson. I noticed I keep saying Ricky Henderson because Ricky Henderson would say Ricky Henderson. And I feel like it's a great tribute. But just want to make sure we send our condolences and blessings to Ricky Henderson's family. One of my all-time favorite athletes, one of my 3 favorite baseball players of all time. So he will for sure be missed.
Yes. And if you're, a little bit younger, not as familiar with Ricky Henderson, or not a big baseball fan because it's a basketball podcast, I would encourage you to Google best Ricky Henderson stories and read up, because he has quite a few absolutely hilarious ones from back in his playing days.
Yeah, there are a million great ones, but yeah, check that out for sure. But hey, man, this is fun. It's getting close to Christmas time. We almost have yet another few day break coming up here after Monday. So this is a great time. I'm so happy I got to be back with you and doing the thing. Maybe Skylar and I will do a show again sometime. I don't know. But we'll get there. Hey, we'll be back Monday night. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.
Stay classic, Cavs fans. Happy holidays.